Welcome to the 2018 Aberdeen Standard Investments
Ladies Scottish Open.
Here at the beautiful Gallen Golf Club.
Come and see us.
Rule the links.
We are
Ready.
Are you?
We certainly are getting ready for day two of the biggest event of the season so far. We're on Scotland's Gulf Coast Road on the southern shore of the Firth of Forth at Gallen Golf Club, a composite from the number 1 and 2 courses on a links layout as it was a fortnight ago when Gallen was also hosting the male version of Scotland's National Championship. The event's strongest ever field enjoying sunny but breezy conditions. Charlie Hull, the highest ranked Brit, posting an opening round of 67. Eire Jatanagan could go to number 1 in the world with a win this week. She was making birdies and giving out hugs. A week before her defence at the Women's British Open, IK Kim looking to warm up with yet another win. And Jenny Shin, who started the day with a bogey, ended it with a birdie to post a 66, but head and shoulders above the rest was Tiffany Joe, courtesy of a red-hot putter. The American looking for her breakthrough LPGA win with 9 birdies and 9 pars for her lowest professional round. A superb 62 that left her 4 shots clear of a trio of Koreans that also included Amy Yang. The world number 2, Sung Hyun Park, amongst a big group at 4 under, with the leading Scot, Kelsey MacDonald, also posting a 67. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to day 2 of the Aberdeen Standard Investment Ladies Scottish Open, an event co-sanctioned between the Ladies European Tour and the LPGA Tours. I'm Richard Kaufman. Alongside me is former LET LPGA player Alison Whittaker. Alison, scoring this morning has been pretty good, as we're going to see. Conditions today, are we going to get more of the same like yesterday?
Absolutely. And you know what? I think everyone's counting their lucky stars, because I saw players, namely Georgia Hall, buying waterproofs yesterday afternoon because she thought the rain was coming. It's dry as a bone out there so far today.
At the moment, as you can see, there is a chance of rain today, and the forecast suggesting rain tomorrow, though that's what they said yesterday. We'll just have to wait and see. But as we mentioned, conditions were pretty good this morning, and some of the players out there making the most of them. We'll start with Caroline Masson, German Solheim Cup start. And she got off to a good start. 68 yesterday, had a birdie at 2, birdie at 3.
And smooth sailing since then. This on the 8th, the par 3, 134 yards today, using the slope perfectly, really just landing it on that front edge and letting the front to back green do all of the work for her. Setting up a relatively straightforward birdie putt. He liked it.
Yeah, well, so he should, and it went as well. She's added another one at the 11th. Still out on the course, by the way, Masson, but 7 under par, sitting firmly inside that top 10, as is this lady, So Yeon Yu. 6 birdies in her round, coming to 18.
Yeah, pretty steady yesterday, 69, 2 under par. But really, I think these were some of the fireworks that we'd been waiting for from So-yeon. Had her coach, Cameron McCormick, out earlier this week. Things felt good going into yesterday.
And she posted a 66. Really is a stellar field. Here's the lady who won the very last major of 2018, and she's rolling it nicely. Sung Hyun Park, 67 yesterday, birdied 17, but she wasn't done there.
Well, she's such a prolific ball striker. I think when she's making putts outside 15 feet, that's a good sign for where her scoring ability is coming. But then she goes and does this on 18, setting up another birdie chance. That one would go in for back-to-back birdies in a round of 67.
Yeah, back-to-back 67s as well for her. And not to be left out, Eire Jatanagan. Now, she nearly made a hole-in-one at this par 3 17th yesterday.
She's got good vibes, Richard. And they're continuing. Guess what? That was another really beautiful tee shot. She'd walk away with par, but that's not so bad on 17, and then stepped up to 18 after a pretty perfect drive.
Yeah, 6 birdies, no drop shots to this point as well, so making a really big move up to 10 under par, and that's where she would stay. But equal best round of the morning is 65. But what about the overnight leader? 62, of course, yesterday from Tiffany Joe. She claimed it was thanks to the club in her hand here, and it wasn't letting her down either. in this second round, was it?
I think she made more footage of putts yesterday than half the field will make in the week. And have a look at this on the 10th. Going, gone from off the green for birdie.
Fantastic round from Tiffany Joe, this at the 14th hole. At the moment she was at 12 under par, but she was only going to get better after that lovely touch at the short par 4 downhill. So 13 under par, and still, you know, it's not easy to follow a low one with another low one, but what, 62, 67, that's hugely impressive.
Just so much confidence on the green. She only had 24 putts for the entire day yesterday and seemed just super confident on the greens.
And she's going to join us in the commentary box a little bit later on. Let's have a look at the leaderboard as things stand now. Caroline Masson, who we saw making a good move, told you she birdied 11. She's also picked up a birdie at the 14th hole, so she's at 8 under par. But we're in for an exciting weekend, whatever happens here, because bear in mind, Eri Jatanagarn, Sunghyun Park could both go to world number 1. So could So Yeon Yu. They're all inside the top 5, so a win for any of them could take them to world number 1 this week. We had a South African winner, of course, when the men were here a couple of weeks ago in the shape of Brandon Stone. Liam Pace is right there. And you can see a 68 from Georgia Hall, and Pornanong Patlam with a 65 that's taken her from 2 over par overnight to 4 under overall. Here's one of the Korean players who set the pace yesterday with a 66 yesterday morning, and she's picked up 2 birdies on the front 9, Amy Yang. Easily
the hardest hole location, I'd say, on this 10th hole in that front right corner. Everything on this hole just pushes you toward the back left, so hard to get close to.
It's a little bit softer, the course today. I mean, nothing significant, but there was some rain overnight, so just softened the course a little bit. There's a bit of a thunderstorm last night. There's a look from behind the 11th tee, a lovely part of the golf course right by the cliff edge.
And that's the figure of Nicole Brock-Larsen.
She's had a decent front 9, out in 33. The Dane currently a couple under par. I mean, it's difficult for players to know exactly where they are. It's going to be a long way from the cut mark, which we think is going to come at 1 over, and where Tiffany Joe is right now at 13 under. Par 5, which for someone of Brock-Larsen's hitting capacity is very reachable.
In the practice rounds, 11 was playing straight into the breeze, so not many players were really thinking about trying to carry the set of bunkers that runs through around the 230 to 250 mark on this hole. Since the wind's changed, opportunities have opened up. One of the most accoladed golf swings on tour, Nicole. One needs to settle down.
Just flirty with that bunker down the right, but I think it's okay there. Nicole, of course, is a Ladies European Tour winner, but an LPGA regular.
And today, playing alongside Jenny Shin. Her last win came in 2016 in Texas.
One birdie all par so far today for Jenny, leaning as if this one may be heading down that right side of the fairway. She was leaning.
She's a tough judge. just left of centre, it seems. That's a great tee shot. And it'll open up the angle into the green. So let's take a look from overhead at the 11th hole. A real scoring opportunity on the back 9. And ideally, just up that left centre would be perfect. Stay away from those two bunkers on the right-hand side, 244 yards to get into those. But if you are on the left side of the fairway, it opens up a fantastic angle into this green. Just the one bunker on the front right, but it is pretty nasty. And then two severe drop-offs, one on the left and a really severe drop-off on the right-hand side. Hole location today is up in that back right section, so you might see a couple of balls drift off to the right. It's not really the place to be. Short left of the hole location is ideal.
Yeah, par 5 11th, they're walking down one of the easier holes now. IK Kim also making good progress after yesterday's fine round, and isn't she looking in good form ahead of the defence of her Women's British Open title off to the northwest coast of England to Royal Lytham and St Anne's next week. Many of the players will, quite a lot we're watching featured here today, will certainly be heading there, like Leanne Pace. Unfortunately, Leanne dropped a shot at 9, which is why she's back at 6 under now. But staying clear of that right-hand flag, you can understand why. Now here's a young lady who's certainly been making her mark on the LPGA Tour this season, Nasa Hataoka of Japan.
Supremely talented now, the #1 ranked player in the world rankings from Japan as well.
Been a little bit of an upturn in form, hasn't there, in the last few months from Sandra Gart.
Currently level par for her round, although that's on a fantastic line if it keeps going down the slope. Oh, keep going. The perfect read from the tee. Very nice.
Yeah, she's got such a natural game, Amy Yang. In fact, when you watch her, you wonder why she doesn't win more, because there seems so few flaws. Maybe it's that bit between the ears that is unfortunate greatest flaw.
Really nice setup here from Caroline Masson on the right part of the fairway, back towards that left hole location. And a little bit of work left to do.
Amy just tidy up.
It's interesting when you look at Amy's record. She is fantastic in the majors. She's had a top 10 in a major every single year for the past 9 seasons, but she's yet to get one in 2018.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's 17 top 10s, I think it is, in the majors in total, but no win. So she's knocked on the door a lot without actually getting through. But she's still very young, obviously. But as I say, surprised when you watch her play that she hasn't got it done. It took IK Kim a few goes, didn't it? You know, she had some major scars before winning at Kings Barnes last year.
Yeah, and I don't know that anyone could accuse In-Kyung Kim of having a lack in mental strength. She's probably one of the toughest players between the ears, but she finally got across the line.
No, Hataoka. She's 19 still, isn't she? And she's ranked 12th in the world. It gives you an idea. Caroline, just move to the left a little bit. Yeah, thank you.
Kind of her to oblige, Richard.
Yeah, she obviously hurt.
And NASA named after the space agency.
Yeah.
It's fun.
She's out of this world, the way she's been playing
Oh,
this year.
stop it.
No, it's early as well. I've only just got going. Firth of 4th and across to the town of Gullen. The golf course really is right next to the town as well. You can go from the practice area to the shops in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, went for coffee with Emily Pedersen the other day, just walking down in between a practice session, and that is a little lackluster by Caroline's standards.
Yeah, she's made every cut this year, Masson. She's been a little misconsistency. 5 top 10s as well, so one of the Europeans that will certainly feel confident heading into the Women's British Open, if not for the weekend coming.
And that's pretty solid there from Leanne Pace. We mentioned how hard it is to get close to that whole location. Really anything inside 10, 15 feet's great today.
Now Angel Yin, no longer a teenager, but only just turned 20, and what a talent she is. Struggling, unfortunately. We think the cut marks are 1 over, so she, well, shots like that will help her cause. Of course, what a star she was as a rookie in the Solheim Cup last year. And she won her first pro event, didn't she, at the end of last year on the LET? In
Dubai, yes, the final event. And it's such a big build-up, but she got her first win as a professional.
Ooh. Wow, that was unusual. Second drop shot of the round to go with 3 birdies. Shade still on, even though the sun's gone behind the clouds for now.
It's the glare off the water, I believe, playing alongside her good friend Sandra Gall. In Kyung Kim and Sandra talk a lot about art together, kind of similar style personalities, if you can believe that.
Well, Sandra's multifaceted, talented artist, pianist. Very little she can't do, isn't there?
Well, yeah, she released a song about, I want to say about 6 years ago.
Now, if I'm right, weren't you involved somewhere along the line with that song?
No, I was just encouraging her to get back into songwriting and give it a go, and she sent me a couple of demos, so all in good fun. I won't be releasing them without her permission anytime soon. Nice birdie by the tee shot. Threatened a hole in one from one German to another. This for par, though, of course, and that is very well judged. Supremely talented, but sometimes maybe a little bit too hard on herself, in particular down the stretch. Caroline Masson. Some people play better when they're angry and it kind of fuels them, but I feel like it's only up until a point. Yeah, Pace makes par at 10. Another who's won many times on the Ladies European Tour, Leanne. And on the Sunshine Tour, of course, back home. Picked up another title on the Sunshine Tour earlier this year as well. So adding to that tally as we see Jenny Shin hoping for a big bounce forward. Now that's her second into the par 5. You can see the wind switched again today. So this is more like the conditions that the players had during the first 2 practice rounds out of the west-norwesterly wind. Well, Hata Oka, currently 12th on the leaderboard. I told you she's 12th in the world, but how about the world's 2, 3 and 4 up there in the top 5 right now? I mean, what a weekend in Prospect. Here's confirmation. You can see them. So-Yeon Yu, Sung-Hyun Park and Eri Jitanagan. They're the players I'm talking about. Jitanagan ranked 3rd in the world. Sung-Hyun Park there alongside Masson is ranked 2 in the world. And So-Yeon Yu, they're tied for 5th with Amy Yang. She is number 4 in those Rolex rankings. So the cream has certainly risen to the top pretty early here. So in fact, Nicole Brock-Larsen was in the bunker off the tee, so this is going to be her 3rd shot. Quite penal, the bunkers over on that right-hand side. Hard to advance the ball really at all, especially when you're coming into those bunkers with a longer club. It really does have a tendency to run up against the face. Greens are releasing still today, so really anything, say 4 or 5 yards short of that whole location would be a pretty good number. Well, she's giving herself a great chance of another birdie. It is amazing how in links golf the complexion of each hole can change so drastically with just a little switch of the wind. As we see Angel Yin trying to finish off for birdie on 9. Nicely done.
So yeah, she needs to play the back 9. One would think in 1 under. The cut seems like it should stay at 1 over. Obviously it's a movable feast, but be surprised if it wasn't. Angela Stanford, who's been in some decent form of late, now turned 40, level par, teeing off at 11. She's her mother's not been very well, but her mum's told her to carry on playing. That's been her wish. Angela kind of in 2 minds, but says if that's what her mum wants, then she's going to go out there. And in fact, her golf has been really good the last month or so.
Well, 2 top 10s in the last 4 starts for Angela. It is hard to give yourself permission to leave, though, sometimes.
Especially going, you know, across the Atlantic. Look how smooth that swing is. Once upon a time, she was the youngest winner on the Ladies European Tour. Of course, Lydia Ko ended up usurping her, but she did win it at the age of 16. Amy Yang very much on that first page of our leaderboard here. Second round of the Aberdeen Standard Investments Ladies Scottish Open. How do you follow up a 62? Well, Tiffany Joe showed the way. A brilliant 67, 3-shot lead over Era Jatanagan. Look at the names right behind her. Sung Hyun Park, So Yeon Yu is right there too. Pei Yun Chen, super round today, 66. Not quite the best of the day, but a couple of 65s out there, and we're beginning to follow the progress of Jenny Shin and Leanne Pace, but a healthy advantage right now for the American Joe at the top.
To the par 5, 16th. Couple of bunkers over on the right-hand side. Left centre is ideal. It looks pretty spot on there from Caroline Masson. Currently 25th on the money list so far for 2018.
Yeah, they had some fog on the other side earlier this morning. The British Seniors Open, they had a delay over a couple of hours, but it was a gorgeous morning here at Gullen, wasn't it? No such problems for the players who headed out. 6:30 this morning. First tee off time 6:30, last is 3:40, so we're still over an hour away from the last group going out. Has been one of those players this year who's excelled. Oh, that's in the bunker. I was going to say excelled the longer the tournament goes on. Some of her final rounds have been fantastic.
If you're going to find a bunker, though, do it on a par 5 that you might be able to reach into. I guess that's the only silver lining there, but an eagle putt for Jenny Shin to get to 8 under par.
Good par.
It was a fantastic effort. Just the one birdie on the card, but that's about to change.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so close to her. You mentioned her last win, but she was so close, wasn't she, to winning again at the event in Singapore in March, pipped by Michelle Wee, who unfortunately is amongst those that missed the cut today. Michelle playing with Katrina Matthew, who started the day 2 under. Another who's we're going to have to say goodbye at the halfway stage. Pernilla Lindberg, one of this year's major winners, also missing the cut too.
It's not easy to make the cut in this event. You've got 10 of the world's top 15 players. You've got 27 of the top 30, and you've got people putting like that. Nice birdie there. A roundabout way to do it from Nicole Brock-Larsen. Worth a fist pump after being in a very awkward lie with her drive in the bunker.
Oh, I know he's got... See, greens aren't my favourite, but nice, chewy, sweet. I mean, that's how you keep them happy. That's what I do when I take the kids to football sometimes. A bag of sweets does the trick.
Surprised you don't bring them in here for me, Richard, just to, you know, keep things going.
Healthy eating for the commentators. Ataoka finding the bunker. Pace. Nicely down the fairway.
It's a tough angle on 11 from the right-hand side, just with the way that the green tilts. So you don't actually have a lot of putting surface, as you can see, between the front right edge and the hole location today. There is quite a reasonable amount, but it just doesn't look that way. That is the figure of Mark Britton, and it's one of those tour things where if you said Mark Britton to anyone, they wouldn't know who you were talking about, but if you said Lethal, they'd know exactly who it is. That's his nickname on tour.
There's normally some great stories behind the nicknames. Not sure where we should go with Lethal though.
Pin high over on the left-hand side. That's pretty solid. So an eagle chance coming up. And that too in a reasonable position from Angela Stanford.
Now, IK Kim, who's had to defend twice this season already, but I suppose the biggest defence she's got is coming up in a week, and that's very nicely judged, looking to bounce back after the drop shot at the previous hole.
And a beautiful angle here for Amy Yang. And three pretty tidy approaches into the par 5. And 3 looks at eagle.
So that's where it stands right now. Tiffany Joe with that 3-shot lead over Area Jitanagan. And it's a good time while we're looking at that leaderboard and the standard of that leaderboard to bring in Paul Bush, who's from Aberdeen Standard Investments. Paul, thanks for joining us in the commentary box. Good to meet you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, as I was saying, the standard of that leaderboard, the world's 2, 3, 4 players, all within, you know, the top 5, 6 players. It gives us an idea of the standard of quality of players we've got here this week.
Oh, this is absolutely stellar field. You know, world-class athletes playing golf, and the co-sanctioning with the LPGA was a real smart move a couple of years ago. So we're absolutely delighted to have the ladies' championship here this week on the back of the men's 2 weeks ago, as these ladies prepare for Lytham St Anne's next week.
Yeah, it's been a huge 3 weeks because, of course, a couple of weeks ago the men we're here, obviously, for the Men's Scottish Open. Brandon Stone winning with some unbelievable scoring.
Yes, I mean, that last putt, I guess he'll live with that for the rest of his life, won't he? You know, the opportunity to get 59. But, you know, those 4 days were very special, leading into the Open at Carnoustie last week. And certainly from a personal perspective, seeing a European and Francesco winning that trophy last week was pretty good. But I think this is pretty wide open. I mean, the leader at present has shot 2 great rounds on the first 2 days, 9 under yesterday and 4 under today. But, you know, they all see this as a really important preparation for the Rico Women's British Open next week. And
I said you were from the sponsors, but you're from Visit Scotland.
I actually am from Visit Scotland.
Yeah,
yes.
so I mean, we're looking at the pictures here. I mean, everything looks absolutely stunning. I mean, as an advert for golf in Scotland, these last few weeks, coupled, I suppose, with what went on at Carnoustie last week as well. It's been a huge few weeks, and of course there's another tournament next week, isn't there, with the European Team Championships, week after next, I should say. So it's been a great time for professional golf, at least, and a chance to show off some of those golf courses.
Absolutely. I mean, we see ourselves as the home of golf. We've 650 golf courses in Scotland, which is pretty special and unique, and there's some real hidden gems out there. We're showcasing some of the more well-known courses. You know, Gullen here is a fantastic track. Don't forget, we've got the seniors up at St Andrews the same time as this week. And then next year, you know, we're really looking forward to having the Solheim Cup back at Glen Eagles on the back of a hugely successful Ryder Cup in 2014.
How about that bounce back from In Kyung Kim, who won, of course, at Kings Barnes a year ago. She's got things back on track. Typical, isn't it? You miss a little one, Alison, and then you hold one across the green like that.
Well, she's gone 3 birdies in the last 4 holes, but there was a bogey in there as well. But that's kind of classic In Kyung Kim, really.
So is that the reason for, you know, staging events like this, getting behind things like the Solheim Cup?
Yeah, I mean, we use our events as our golf marketing platform, which is quite different to most countries in the world who actually do the traditional golf marketing through digital or online or you know, or print. But we think showcasing and postcarding these great golf courses and you know, with some of the scenery, I mean, there's a classic shot there. I mean, that's just stunning, isn't it, looking towards Muirfield. It is the best way to showcase the country and entice people to come and play golf.
Well, it's one of the major parts of tourism here as well. I think I read that there's 125,000 jobs that are related to golf, and I think it's 20,000 jobs, and then 1 in 125 people are employed through golf somehow in Scotland. Those are incredible numbers.
Yes, and golf tourism is worth about 380 million a year to the economy. So, you know, they're not insignificant figures. And, you know, there's some mystique still, isn't it, around Scottish golf courses in terms of people wanting to come and play. And when they do play, they don't just play, you know, the traditional courses of the Turnberries or Glen Eagles or the St Andrews, King Barnes of the world. They go out and find the Rosemonts of Blair Gowrie or the Kilspinders down the road here. So that there's something for everything. And I think one of the things that we pride ourselves in Scotland is that golf's a very egalitarian sport. And that's really why we're so excited about bringing the Solheim Cup to Glen Eagles next year. And you know, and getting across to the public that these are world-class athletes. And certainly for me, who's a pretty poor to average golfer, I think a lot of men could learn probably more from watching these women play golf than watching the senior men's game, certainly in terms of their technical aspects.
He's maybe a little bit more slightly relatable, although I'm not so sure too many people could relate with this. There's 3 eagle putts coming up on the 11th hole, the par 5. And Angela Stanford's already hit her. She made birdie. And this looks mighty fine. I have to say, Paul, that it's really one of the only places in the world that, as a professional golfer myself, that I've seen this many players go and play other courses in the area. It happened last year at Dundonald Links, and we had half of the field went and played Troon after their round, you know, in a morning round on Thursday, and they just really wanted to go and see the area and just soak it up. It's quite unique.
Yeah, and I think, as I said earlier, you know, and you'll know this better than me, but I think this is perfect preparation for next week in terms of the Women's British Open. You know, they're actually playing on a links course this year. You know, they don't always traditionally play on a links course. The Women's British Open doesn't. But, you know, we've got some great stats over the last 10 years where, particularly on the men's side, people that have played the men's Scottish Open have prepared really well from a links perspective for the future week. Well,
8 of last year's top 10 at the Rico Women's British Open played the week before at the Scottish Ladies Open, so it clearly is a great precursor. And I think, if anything, Gullen is a better preparation for Royal Lytham than Dundonald Links was for Kingsbarns. So I think that correlation might continue.
Oh, this is a wonderful course. You've seen, I mean, and I think it, you know, being right out on the coast really gives that true links effect, which they're going to see next week.
Birdie there for Jenny Shin. Emily Pedersen at the 9th.
Yeah.
Hey, she's got a birdie. It's been a tough road, hasn't it? You know Emily very well. First birdie of the day, only takes her to 7 over, but I think that shows a little bit about her character. She celebrates the one birdie.
That's it. You've got to take them where you get them.
Yeah, I mean, the players love coming to this part of it. I think I'm right in saying Brandon Stone, after his win and bought some Hickory clubs. And after his first round last week at Carnoustie, he went to St Andrews and he went and played the course with his Hickory clubs. You couldn't make that up really in the middle of a championship like the Open.
Absolutely great advert, and the fact that, you know, we do have the best American female golfers here this week. In terms of, again, going back to the showcase in Scotland, you know, people will see that on the Golf Channel this week. Men's event was on NBC a couple of weeks ago. You know, it's an absolute joy, to be honest. And as you say, you know, we're only a couple of weeks away from the European Championships at Glen Eagles.
We saw another ball on the green. That was the ball of Nasa Hataoka. Remember, 5 under par. She for birdie, and she makes it.
So Wei Ling Shi gets to 1 under par for the event. Part of the contingent over from Chinese Taipei.
Well, Paul, thanks for joining us. It's been fun. Just going to see Yin finish. Oh, she's going to miss the cut, unfortunately. She needed birdies, not bogeys. She's made a bogey there. Paul's going to say thank you for coming in, and I'm sure the players are going to continue to enjoy some Scottish hospitality over the weekend.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul Bush from Visit Scotland, joining us here in the commentary box, with Tiffany Joe having that lovely lead, 13 under par, ahead of some very stellar names: Area, Jatanagan, Sunken Park. Caroline Masson continues to progress well. 3 holes left to play. And Amy Yang also in that group, 5 shots adrift. Here, as you can get to go out. She's in that final group at 340. She starts at 4 under. Georgia Hall, nice round of 68 today from Georgia, although she was a little disappointed with it. Felt she could have gone lower. Carolina Lund, another of the teenagers in the field.
I saw her warming up. What a powerful golf swing she has. Certainly a player to watch for the future, part of the Norwegian team. Another late tee time coming up for Sue O.
Charlie Hull got it to 6 under par with a birdie start. Disappointing in the end. Just a 73, leaves her alongside Paula Creamer and Kari Webb, who both posted 69s, as did Mel Reid, safely in for the weekend. So that's how things shape up at the top. This is Hataoka. Great chance to get to 6 under. Oh, how has that stayed out?
She's had an incredible progression, really, Nasa. She played on the LPGA last year and then about halfway through the year, switched over back to the JLPGA, went back, had a couple of wins, got her confidence up, went back to Q School, and now she's a winner on tour just 3 weeks ago in Arkansas, second on the money list. It's been an incredible 18 months in terms of ups and downs, really.
It seems like it's liftoff now. I could go all day.
Oh dear.
Yes, don't have to laugh. I'm sure they've all been told before as well.
Moving on.
Moving to Masson.
A good birdie opportunity though. A little bit left to right here on the 16th.
Masson amongst the players who Paul was mentioning who hope to be back at Glen Eagles for Solheim Cup next year. Of course, Katrina Matthew, the captain, unfortunately missing the cup, but named two of her vice captains this week, although I would think Suzanne Pedersen will be hoping she'll be a playing one.
It was part of her comments during the press conference that she said, I'm not sure if I'll be able to balance both jobs should I be selected.
Well, she'll have 3 jobs, really, because she's going to become a mother in the next few weeks as well. Masson tidies up.
And no trouble there on the par 3, 12th for Jenny Shin.
Interesting, when we heard her being interviewed yesterday, it was almost an Australian twang to her accent.
I'm not sure where she gets that from
No.
as well.
She's obviously been hanging around a few Aussies.
I can't blame her. And mind you, I think being out here in Scotland's pretty lovely as well. Some beautiful accents in this part of the world. Amy Yang. .163 to the pin today, got a nasty kick forward, but this could come back down off the slope. It's almost an amphitheatre.
Yeah, the Firth of Forth. We've not seen any choppy waters. Although a couple of weeks ago when the men were here, I saw they showed some dolphins jumping in and out. So I don't know whether we can see it. I don't know if any are around at the moment, but that was great to watch.
Really only a 6 or a 7 iron maximum. I'd say 7 at tops almost, with the wind helping off the left.
Very pleasant afternoon, although the forecast is suggesting maybe some rain around at 6 o'clock, that sort of time, but fingers crossed it stays away, but also suggesting there might be some tomorrow as well. Tell you what we are forecast is for a fabulous weekend, given the calibre of names up there. Tiffany's coming in, obviously Tiffany Joe, you know her very well. Just, I mean, to be leading after round 1, it looks like she's going to be leading after round 2. Not something she's been used to, rather when she's sitting here in front of us. I don't really want to bring that up out of time, but it is going to be a big deal, particularly when you think, as it stands right now, she's going to be going out with Eira Jatanagan. If it's 3 balls with Sunkyun Park as well, we're talking some of the world's best players.
Yeah, she'll be playing on, well, the biggest stage in golf this week for the women's side of things. And, you know, I think provided that Tiff just sticks to her process and really trusts herself and doesn't lose confidence on the greens that she's had from the first 2 days. What a stellar performance yesterday with the flat stick in hand. But really, I mean, she's a supremely talented golfer. She has a really dynamic golf swing, so there's a lot of kind of fluid motion, and usually those kind of players play well with confidence. And I'd like to see her back herself even more going forward, because sometimes she's a bit self-deprecating and it can kind of get in her way a little bit. And In Kyung Kim is almost the direct opposite from that.
That was a bit of a. I assume she was. Did she get that heavy, or was she expecting that to just kick on a little more?
Probably a bit of both, to be honest with you. She got a nasty bounce, but if she'd landed that even 2 yards to the right, she would have got a better kick forward. It's almost like a little collection area on that front left section. And let's have a look at the 17th. Now this is up right on the crest of the hill. It's very exposed. It's playing 168 yards today, and there's a little bit of a false front that runs about 7 paces onto the green. And given that the whole location is 13 paces over on that front right, we might see that come into play, a little bit of a sideboard, if you will, to the right of the pin. So that's not the worst miss, but really anything from the centre front of the green would be fantastic. And that's exactly where Caroline Masson's headed. The hole will be almost playing straight downwind, as you can see from the flag there, which almost in a way makes front hole locations harder given the slope, because you need to almost land it on the front of the green and hope that it just kicks up a little bit toward the hole location, up that false front. Exactly like that. And a near perfect golf shot there from the German.
Yeah, chance to go into outright third place. She pops that one in, Masson. Similar story for Amy Yang, although hers from a little further away. Yeah, and Mickey Walker, who we've done some commentary with before, has said when she's watched her sometimes in majors, Amy Yang, that she sometimes thinks that she's maybe even afraid of winning. I know Annika Sorenstam said that at the start of her career. It's something that you surprised that players would actually be scared of winning, but someone like Amy, you just wonder whether that has been the case when it's come to the biggest championships.
Well, she marks her ball with a smiley face, so you could hardly ever say that Amy Yang had a killer instinct as such, but
only she could say, really, obviously.
Exactly.
Amy herself,
well, it's hard to know what's going on. I know when Inji Chun won the US Open, Amy really let quite a few opportunities slide that week, but she keeps putting herself in contention, which in itself is a great achievement.
Used to get on the piss with Roger.
Leanne from Mossel Bay, which of course is where Louis Oosthuizen grew up as well. He's had a decent round or two on links golf. 2010 Open champion. Now Hada Oka. Anything inside Masson's will do. But how about a hole in one? Oh. Well, that nearly was out of this world.
A fantastic golf shot. Australia's #1, Minjee Lee. She too creeping up that leaderboard. 3 under par for her round today. 7 under total.
She's starting to fulfill the promise, isn't she, Minjee Lee? Having a really consistent year, just waiting for the big breakout now.
Look just how much roll they're getting on the greens now.
For those who were watching the men a couple of weeks ago, the course playing about 600 yards shorter off the tee. It was a par 70 for the men, par 71 for the ladies. After that indifferent second.
It's interesting in In-Kyung Kim's post-round interview yesterday, she said she really wanted to work on her decision-making and making sure she kind of acknowledged every option around the green, including taking putter from further away, like she did there. Already has a win under her belt this year, Minjee Lee, but you know, you talked about waiting for the breakthrough. She's had first, second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth already.
In the majors, though.
In the majors, of course.
Yeah. Because she is, there's no doubt about it. They've been talking about Minjee Lee now for a good few years, and she's gone up a level this year, as you mentioned, with those results.
Well, got to her lowest ever world ranking this year as well. Inside the top 10, got to 8 in the world after her win.
Should see a couple of birdies here. Masson with the chance to get to 9 under par. To Oka with a chance to get back to 5 under par. So the German moves into 3rd place. Apparently the other member of this three-ball, Sarah Jane Smith, is there. She is on the right. She's already made a birdie herself, so that's got her to 2 under par. She's having a very good back 9, actually 4 under for the back 9. The Australian. Now, so close to a hole-in-one. Horrible 6 at the last hole. There, you saw the flies landing, and she's getting it. There are a lot of flies. There are, and apparently there's a Scottish name for them. I can't think what they are, but I mean, it's the warm weather that's brought them all out. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? You told me to keep my mouth closed, which is not easy because they were threatening to fly in.
Only when we're in the golf cart, though. It's
yes.
okay now. Well, yesterday we had the butterfly, the resident butterfly on the 12th hole.
On a leg there as well. They're annoying. Apparently they're very good for the ecosystem, and they can't do any harm, won't bite you or anything like that. Well done. 3 2s at 17. Birdies all round.
A little bit short with her approach, Nicole Brock-Larsen. That's nicely done, however. Interesting, Nicole's coach, who coincidentally also coaches Emily Pedersen, David Dickmeis, he came in on Tuesday night, and I spoke to Nicole and I said, "Oh, when are you catching up with David?" And she said, "I'm not. He's here for Emily this week." And so it's kind of interesting. She must be feeling really good in her game to not want to kind of go into the technical side. You see Emily on screen there, playing alongside In-Kyung Kim.
Up and down for the last half an hour or so, hasn't it been for In-Kyung? She hasn't had a par since the 6th hole. Birdie, birdie, bogey, birdie, bogey. The run. Taking her back to 6 under now. Caroline Masson coming towards the end of her round, and as you can see, it's up there with some of the best of the day. We've had a couple of 65s out there. You can see one of them's from Eira Jatanaga, the other one's come from Pornanong Patlam. A couple of ties going best, but a German, if she could birdie the last, could even beat that. A birdie for a 64 for Masson. But it's Tiffany Joe who sits proudly at the top. 62, 67, 13 under par and leading by 3. 68 from Minji Lee. So in the clubhouse at 7 under. Nicely inside the top 10, and in Lincoln Kim we expect to slip back. Pei-Yun Chen, 66. I mentioned the 65 from Patlam. Caroline Inglis, a rookie who's been going very nicely this season, 71 after 68 yesterday. Justine Dreyer, the French player, was going well yesterday, wasn't she? Just starting out around level for the day.
From the middle of the green on 13, Jenny Shin. Trying to join the group at 8 under par. Oh, that golf ball is scared of heights, Jenny. Would have launched her inside the top 5, not to beat. Young just trying to polish this one off.
Wow. Even that bunker's better than shore.
Management error, maybe, with the second shot for In Kyung.
Yeah, Amy Yang just waiting at the moment, down at the 13th hole. Play yesterday I felt was a little bit slow at times. What was it, 5.5 hours for them to play 3 balls around here?
There certainly were a couple of backups, a couple of ball searches as well in the longer grass.
That's, she's waiting for Celine Boutier, who's the player who won a couple of times on the Symetra Tour last season. Won a couple of times now on the Ladies European Tour as well.
Yeah, picked up the trophy in Sanya in China last year. And then again earlier this year on the ALPG and Ladies European Tour co-sanctioned event.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Started working with a new mental coach, in fact, Nicole Brock-Larsen.
Well, she can get a little fiery at times. I wonder what goes on in their conversations.
He's also coaching Nana Madsen, so
oh, well, there's another
he's
one.
got his hands full.
Yeah, let it out, maybe he says to them, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, maybe, hey, they could pull the Tiger trick. He used to give himself 15 steps where he was allowed to be angry, and as soon as he crossed that threshold, he had to let it go. So it works for some. Lindy Duncan, another player on tour that kind of adopts a similar strategy.
Very rarely see Amy Yang getting too flustered and hot-tempered.
It almost looks like Amy's kind of taking a slightly conservative line to some of these pins, kind of erring towards the middle, and then if it happens to fade onto the pin, which it didn't in that occurrence.
Now, here we go, 18th hole. Good view of what the players have ahead of them here. You see that tent on the left-hand side. That's the media centre, so just a little right of that. And bunkers to avoid is the key, and I think Masson's done that just about perfect.
It's a really difficult tee shot, 18, and you have to hit it either on the short grass on the fairway or maybe even that first cut of rough on the left to give yourself a chance at birdie. And that'll do nicely for the South African. Still at 4 under par for her round today. Just the one bogey on the card. That came on the 9th hole. 5 birdies to offset it, however. Spent a lot of time inside the top 40 in the world. Just dropped out to just outside the top 150 now, 158th. But she did get down to as low as 34 after a win on the LPGA back in 2014. Amy Yang, she's part of what I'm starting to call the Orlando crew. And I'll point that out as we take a look at the struggles now of In-Kyung Kim. She's found the right-hand bunker, fairway bunker, but we did see Nicole Brock-Larson still make birdie from a similar position. You can see not able to advance it any more than really 20 paces.
14 back towards the ocean.
Talked about Jenny Chin contending in Singapore. She also was a real contender going into the final round in the final group in Chinese Taipei last year. And He Ji came out the victor.
Yeah, the ever-expanding Asian swing, which comes after all the majors are completed. Evian, the last of the year this year in September, although, as I mentioned yesterday, that's being moved back for 2019. Similar story in the men's game. Of course, the Open will be the final major of the year next year. One of the many bugs getting to Amy Yang's ball, I think.
Well, about 11 p.m. in our household last night, we had a bug that resembled a small bird, actually, flying around. Terrifying stuff, actually. Stuff of nightmares, but good chance now for Amy Yang to get to 9 under par. To a share of 3rd place.
Not to become up. I would have thought, being in Australia, I mean, you've seen it all, haven't you?
Well, we're used to, you know, hand-sized spiders, but this, I'm not even sure what this thing was. I had Tiffany Joe chasing it around with a glass in hand, trying to capture it.
She's missed nothing this week, I would assume she got there.
Well done.
Carlotta Siganda at 17. Been a quiet week, but she's stuck around, Carlotta. Not too many birdies, but not many drop shots either. Not quite been that way for IK Kim today. 3rd shot in now to this par 5.
Bad place to putt up from. Not too much slope in that section of the green. Will be for birdie. Final hole of the day for Hataoka. Players were saying yesterday, because of the wind change, yesterday they were hitting shots into here and it bouncing and going through. Today, able to fly a little bit further and it's stopping quicker. Well, yesterday the wind was, if anything, a little bit off the right-hand side, and it's switched around almost 180 degrees, but that didn't help Nuss's ball so much, but that's fine. It is incredible, and we saw the ball there of Sarah Jane Smith on the green, but incredible how quickly the complexion of this golf course can change. You have practice rounds and you walk by bunkers and you think, well, they're never going to be in play, and then you find yourself knee-deep in sand 24 hours later. So you really do need to pay attention on the first two practice rounds.
Now Masson's giving herself a chance here for an ideal look at birdie after that brilliant tee shot been a fantastic round of golf. Of course, 62 the best of the week, but 65 has been the best of the day so far.
Good line, maybe just half a club too much.
Yeah, it's a part of a game where the world's best really work hard on, you know, just look at Dustin Johnson's rise. He worked so hard on those shots in, and one or two suggesting maybe Rory McIlroy last week was not quite up to those standards. The wedge in his hand. And you see that in the ladies' game as well, don't you? Players like here, 100 yards in, can really make your scores.
Well, looking at the leaderboard as well and thinking about wedge play, I'd have to say In Kyung Kim is probably the best controller of her wedge distances in the game. I think that's actually why she won the Women's British Open last year, because she went out and she did so much work off uneven lies in the lead up. So she got there and she'd hit golf balls that were, you know, half a foot above her feet. She felt very comfortable. Currently inside the top 10, but did knock up 2 birdies in the, 2 bogeys in the last 3 holes.
Some ball strikers there though, isn't there? Area, Sung Hyun Park.
You know, I have to say, I think Sung Hyun Park, I know she's been working on knockdown shots, but I think she's actually been a little bit lucky that it hasn't been gusty, because she has a really high ball flight naturally, and I wasn't sure how she was going to adapt. I knew Area would be fine because she has so many options in terms of off the tee with her iron play and those driving irons.
Well, the Koreans generally seem to adapt to links golf pretty well. I mean, we had Nikyang Lee winning last year, followed by In Kyung Kim at Kings Barnes, and all the Koreans that are up there again.
MB Park at Turnberry as well.
Yeah. Be in danger of being knocked off the top of the world rankings this week.
Beautiful angle left. This green releases a little bit front to back as well, so it will kick forward. That maybe hit a little bit too solidly for Jenny Shin. Give her a scratch of the head there. Now for birdie. After being in the bunker off the tee. Still not on the green. This would be something special from In Kyung Kim.
So this for a round of 64 for Masson. A little bit of work left. But she certainly put herself in the mix here with this round.
Hasn't hurt her chances. 6 under par for the day. Spent some time back home in Pamplona. Went to the running of the bulls about a week and a half ago. Carlotta?
Rather her than me. I'm assuming she didn't take part.
No. Just in the festivities.
Yeah, I was going to say, that looks far too dangerous. Some people get really hurt doing that. I mean, don't really want to go into it, but yeah, you can imagine running with bulls. Now Hata Oka with a chance for a birdie finish. And It's going to be a 67 from the Japanese player in contention again. So Haraoka finishing at 5 under par. That's just outside the top 10. Caroline Masson should hopefully finish at 9 under, but Tiffany Joe 3 shots clear after Alison following that round of 62 with a round of 67. Birdies at the first, the third one given away at 5, but seen a bit of that this week, haven't we?
We've seen a lot of that this week. I'm not sure how many yards of putts Tiffany Joe has made, but it didn't even matter if she was on the green. Look at this.
And I don't know if we can hear the comment coming up. Oh, we're out too soon. What did she say after that?
I think she said, "Get my ball and walk to the next."
Did a Jordan Spieth?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll have to ask her about that. This is at 14, beautifully judged, shot down the slope. And another birdie coming up, and it's terrific effort, following up a 62, her lowest professional round, with a 67. That was the final birdie of the day. 5 of them on the card. 14 in total this week in the 36 holes. That's the way she finished it off, with that 67. 13 under par, and looks good enough for the halfway lead. Not hard to talk very complimentary about her 2 days, but it's a good job really that being complimentary, because she's sitting right alongside us here in the commentary box. Tiffany, welcome along.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that must have been nice to look back at.
Yeah, it was really nice. Those putts actually look a lot longer than they looked standing over them.
And the hole looked a lot smaller than it obviously looked to you putting, because
Right.
you were draining them from everywhere the last couple of days.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Now this is Masson finishing off. Not sure if they're playing 2 balls or 3 balls tomorrow, but Masson to finish at 9 under par.
I think I had this exact same putt.
So tell us.
Give us a read.
I played it right center.
Pretty good.
Yeah, excellent round of golf that is from Caroline Masson, a round of 65. So if it is 3 balls tomorrow, she could well be out there with you for the final, for the 3rd round tomorrow.
Yeah, I will definitely be playing first. I mean, from the fairway. I don't mean like from the tee box.
What, you think you're going to get out driven, do you?
Now, as we watch In Kyun Kim try and hopefully make a 5, yes. I should say, because you're joining us in the commentary box, you're sharing a house with my co-commentator this week, so you're obviously having a lot of fun, because you seem very relaxed out on the golf course.
I have definitely been putting a dent in her lasagna leftovers. Sorry about that. I don't know if you guys heard me, but I was a little jet lagged, so I think I nuked a piece of lasagna at 2 in the morning.
Oh, was that you? I was wondering. I thought
Sorry
it was a
about
plane
that.
taking off. That's all right. She's been eating dinner at about 4:30 every night, while we are all eating at 7 p.m. So
Whatever, it's working,
It's
Tiffany.
the early
Keep it
bird
going.
special.
Keep it going, it's working very well. Now Sandra Gart, this is at the par 3 12th hole, playing 163 yards today. I mean, I don't know, conditions must have been pretty similar now, aren't they, to when you went out?
Yeah, it was really interesting though. The last couple of holes, the wind really kicked up, and so there were some holes that I had 9 iron into yesterday and had a 3 hybrid into today. So I think it's just a little precursor going into what to expect for this weekend.
Sandra just off the back of a birdie, and you can use this kind of as a backstop here.
I didn't, but I think you can.
This is one of the holes yesterday where you rolled one in from about 60 feet, something like that, wasn't it, the 12th?
Oh, I have really bad golf memory, but if
But let
you
me
say
assure
so,
you,
I'll
you
take
did.
your word for
You
it.
did.
I think this was the hole that you actually, on the 12th, it was you rolled over Whitney Hilly's ball marker.
Oh, right. That's when she said, "You're welcome," and I said, "Do you take cash, credit, or check?"
Ah, okay.
Unfortunately, that's a drop shot for Jenny Shin, so she'll slip back to 6 under par. How easy is it to judge these kind of shots when you're playing down the hill and to a green that's tilting
You know, normally, my caddy will give me the front number and then he'll give me the pin number. I mean, today, once he gives me the front number, I kind of just zone out and we pretty much play about 5 or 6 short of the front on some of these holes. And I think a really good caddy and trusting him is really key to shots like this.
But we saw your shot at 14. You judged it beautifully, so it's a case of letting the contours do the work.
Yeah, I've relied a lot on my caddy this week, so he pretty much just tells me the number to fly it and gives me the club, and I just listen to him.
And as I mentioned before, relying on him picking the ball out of the hole for you as well.
I played in the U.S. Open qualifier with Rebecca Artis, and she did it, and it looked so cool. It was not quite as cool when I did it.
It's funny, actually, we're given a basic Scottish cue card as we see Leanne's shot just come up a little bit short there, a bit unlucky not to get the kick. But it says basic Scottish sassy equals cheeky, and that's pretty much you on that hole getting Zach to take the ball out of there.
Who says cheeky?
I think that's quite a normal.
I mean, not Americans.
No, well, that's it. That's why they've given you the cue card.
Right.
Don't usually see those on the ladies' European tour.
I'm going to say we tomorrow instead of small.
Yeah, I'm glad you classified that. Whitney Yang. Perfect angle in again. Similar, just a little bit out. Is it tough to judge out of the first cut of rough, especially when the green's running away from you?
Yeah, what we're really finding, been the toughest for us to judge is wedge shots off of really tight, firm grass. Like we've been almost hitting it like 5 to 6 yards shorter. So it's almost better off to just take an extra club and almost chip it. We actually hit a couple of those on the range afterwards just to practice, just trying to hit 9 irons like 90 yards or 8 irons 100 yards.
Because it's unusual, obviously, for you to be playing links golf, but then also to have it this hard and fast as well.
Yeah, some of those fairways just looked really baked out right now, but I mean, it's great. I feel like I'm driving it really long right now, so.
Well, it's looking good for you as far as the leaderboard's concerned. Obviously, only through 36 holes, but there she is, Tiffany Joe at the top of the leaderboard with that second round of 67 after that first round 62. 13 under, 3 ahead of area. Jitanagan, Caroline Masson, who's just posted that round of 65, now sitting alone in third at 9 under par. We'll be following the progress of the likes of Leanne Pace and Amy Yang, looking to make inroads on that lead. Confirmation of that drop shot from Jenny Shin at 14, then back in the group at 6 under par. Hadaoka finishing off with that 67, so just outside the top 10. You can see Haiji Kang just about teeing off in the next half an hour. Just working our way down the leaderboard. There's a trio of players heading out soon. Jung-Yun Lee, Daniela Jacobelli and Suo all heading off very shortly. In fact, Suo should be down the first right now. Christy Kirk, leader at the halfway stage a year ago, inside the top 25 right now. Saw that tee shot from Siganda, made par at 17. And it was a really good back nine from Sarah Jane Smith in a round of 66, playing with Hataoka and Masson. So all these players very much inside the cut mark. We think still 1 over, looks good.
I can't really see the cut going out too much given the current conditions. They're pretty familiar from the first and second days of practice round, so I think in general it might just linger. It really could come down to 1 or 2 players though either way.
So all these players level par, they should definitely be safe. Kelsey McDonald beating Scott yesterday after a 67. Disappointing 75 from her today. And there's the players at 1 over. As you can see, tied for 65th, which is right on the mark. So I suppose you could say a chance it could move to level par.
Well, the majority of these players are still out on the golf course as well. There are a total of 17 players, I believe, on 65th at the moment.
Your maths is right. Yeah, well done. You were paying attention to those flags yesterday, weren't you?
We aim to please, but a birdie needed really for everyone on this page of the leaderboard. Uehara, Amelia Lewis, Perrine Delacour, a nervy wait for them. It's a long way to come across the pond to walk away one shot off the pace going into the weekend.
Well, the tournament leader, Tiffany Joe, joining us in the commentary box on what's been a great couple of days for her. Would you watch the golf normally, Tiffany?
If it's on, but you know, if they're surfing on at the same time, I'm usually watching that. So.
Well, that's so you're looking more at the sea rather than the golf course.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's some lines of swell coming in. Although I hear this weekend there's supposed to be some 2 to 3 footers. So
but there's nothing at the moment. So
if you see me off of 11 tee box out on the water.
So in the middle of the round, we might see you take out the board.
Yeah. I'll be back, guys.
Quick 10 minutes.
Well, I feel like we should. You were looking at pictures of the men's event, and there was actually a couple of breaks out off.
Yeah.
Was it over the back of 12 and 11?
I want to say, yeah, it was right behind 11T. It was Brooks Koepka on the tee box, and I could see some corduroy lines out there, a little right that you could easily shred.
Some surfing terminology.
Yeah, it's gone over my head, I have to say.
Double overhead almost.
Brock
Brock Larson. Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah, 3 under for the day, 3 under for the championship itself. And there was no rush either, was there? Backing off. We should have a late tea time tomorrow. So, I mean, would you squeeze in a surf tomorrow morning if it?
If it was epic to epic plus, I definitely would.
It's got to be big waves.
I've been known to come close to missing tea times during the Hawaii event, so true story.
I'm wondering if this is the moment where I mentioned that you actually had to wear the same clothes because she misjudged her tea time in the water and had to wear the same clothes again with the same pairing again.
With the same coffee stain on the shirt.
As the previous
Oh, I thought she meant she wore a surfing gear.
No. I don't think that's quite in the LPGA dress code.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Not yet.
Wetsuit with a collar, maybe.
Jenny Shin off the back of a drop shot at 14, coming out of the fluffy rough out of the right-hand side here, but not a bad angle.
Come on down.
That's fine.
There are a couple of slopes around the green that actually do kick the ball back towards the hole.
Yeah, you could definitely use some of those slopes to your advantage. As a rule of thumb, if you can putt it, we're pretty happy. So.
Now, 12th green. Can you remember how this would break, Tiffany?
Nope.
No. Honesty is the best. I think a little right to left, Alison, would you say?
Yeah, maybe a little downhill right to left, if anything.
You always know you're putting a good roll on it when the line is rolling end over end like that.
You've had quite a bit of kind of practice around In Kyung Kim over the years. She's from your part of neck of the woods.
Yeah, she used to make her home base in San Diego. Her coach, Chris Mason, teaches out of the same golf course I practice out of. So, yeah, she shows up from time to time, makes an appearance.
How do you like the look of that leaderboard, eh?
You know, I don't know about you, but whenever I see the name Jatana Garn on the leaderboard, I hear the Jaws theme song playing in my head.
It doesn't happen to me, no. But
It is Shark Week.
It is Shark Week. I know Brittany Lincecum is at home enjoying it at the moment.
yeah, I mean, there's some fantastic players just behind you on the leaderboard. It's a fair point, but You must be enjoying the way you're playing so far.
Yeah, and anytime you get to be paired with really good players and you get an opportunity to learn from them, it's pretty much a win-win. So either way, I'm pretty excited about it.
I think they might be learning from you after your 62 yesterday. A lot of people were taking notes on that one.
If you see people coming in and stealing some of your lasagna, you know why.
Another batch in the oven
I
tonight.
was going to say, is there any left?
Whew, pressure.
They didn't want to try my Tiff Joe's ramen surprise tonight. I offered to make them dinner, but no takers.
I think takeaway sounds a little better to me.
Yeah, well, it's actually interesting because last week, I don't know if you saw the Open Championship, a lot of the bunch of the leaders were all staying together as well. I mean, there is that, that relaxed nature, staying in a house and not, I was going to say feeding off one another, but in the literal sense by the sounds of it, with the lasagna. But, in getting away from the golf course, that must, and no chat about golf. They were playing.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much chatting about golf when we've been home.
So switching off, in other words.
I mean, I've been doing a lot of knitting, so.
How is the scarf coming along?
Not fast enough.
Yeah, she's got about halfway around her neck currently.
It'd be a great scarf for a doll right now.
Celine Boutier creeping up the leaderboard, but work to do to save par there. She's currently at 2 under. Now Pedersen saw her celebrating a birdie at 9. Might see another celebration here. Maybe we missed it.
From one Dane to the other.
No.
Two very good friends. They travel a lot on tour, in fact.
I feel like all the Danes have just really fundamentally great golf swings. I don't know if it's winters spent inside on the simulator not worrying too much where the ball's going, but they always have really, really solid golf swings.
And that's probably the weakness of both Emily and Nicole, really, on the greens. Such, as you say, prolific ball strikers. We mentioned In Kyung's mental game earlier in the coverage. I know you've kind of had a couple of little insights into that.
I mean, I would say she's definitely one of the best wedge players I've ever seen, and I honestly did not practice with cones out on the driving range until I saw how good she was with them.
Explain what that is. What do you mean by cones?
So a lot of the players will practice their distance wedges inside 100 yards by putting cones every 10 yards and practicing hitting to them. And I mean, that's probably been the biggest weakness in my game. So once I saw her doing that, I figured there was a reason why she's really good with wedges, right?
She's incredible with her distance control.
But, from what I've seen, practicing a little bit with her, she's not too much of a grinder. I think she just is innately a very confident person and doesn't really need to spend hours and hours on the range grinding to gain confidence at all.
Now Boutier with this to save par at 15.
Almost up and over a little bit of a slope right to left in this section of the green.
Player was a really top amateur collegiate golf and then had some massive struggles before bouncing back and doing so well last year on the second tier of the American Tour.
Oh.
Very nice save.
Sit in. Slowly.
It is a long walk to the 16th tee.
It's really confusing.
It would be if you go the wrong way.
We are playing a bit of a differently routed golf course, and 15 and 16, not the normal progression of holes. 14 and 15, the 7th and the 8th hole of the other golf course, one of the other two courses here at Gullen. Now this one would be good for the putting stats.
Tibbs. That's her nickname.
J Tibbs, is it?
J Tibbs.
Oh, do you have that today, all the flies around?
Yeah, really annoying. There were a couple times where I just didn't want to spend any more time standing over the ball, so I said, all right, Bugs, you're going for a ride. I hope you're going towards the green.
Hold on. It's hard to get a flow when you need to keep backing off.
I think I swallowed a couple bugs too.
I'm sure there's plenty of protein in them. Probably better than Ali's lasagna. Oh,
Watch yourself. Oh, just missing on the high side there, Jenny. She's had her chances today, really. Just one under par, but she had a lot of looks at birdie.
Yeah, with these greens, there's a lot of really small, subtle breaks. And I found it's a lot easier to just not overthink it and just kind of look for the general ones, because a lot of times there'll be like a little left to right and then some right to left, and just kind of look at it straight and be aggressive and give it some speed. And that seems to be the way I do it anyway.
It's working for you. 24 putts yesterday. I'm not sure what the number was yet today.
Wouldn't have been far off the same, I would have thought. No, Nicole left it quite a bit short with the first putt.
And a little bit of an opportunity missed, I think, there for Nicole. One of those players that can be so hard on herself. Almost in direct contrast, however, to this player, Aditi Ashok.
One of the best putters around, yeah? Just like that?
Oh. Just like that.
Keeps her glove on. Probably one of the oldest heads, I think, on the youngest shoulders I've ever come across. It's almost like she's about 300 or 400 years old, Aditi, somehow.
Well, that's her second birdie in 3 holes. Gets her back to 1 under par. She started the day with 3 straight bogeys, so that's a really good recovery for her back to where she started the day. Amy Yang there in the foreground. It's her birthday tomorrow. That was Leanne Pace playing up.
Now, Tiff, you've actually gone head-to-head with Amy Yang back when she picked up her first ever professional title at the ANZ Ladies Masters, when she became the youngest ever winner on tour. You were in that final group, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible to watch. I hadn't really heard of her, and I knew she was really, really young.
Well, she was 16, so...
But yeah, it was very impressive. She's got probably one of the best tempos on tour, and whenever I'm doing range drills, I always try to think of her swing in my head. But yeah, it doesn't even really look like she's swinging at it, does it?
No, it's just so effortless.
And her ball goes so straight, it looks like it's going in slow motion.
She kind of looks like she's going in slow motion
She
sometimes.
does. I tend to be a little bit of a quicker player, and I always try to slow down a little bit, and I like to look at her for a little bit of golf inspiration.
This is Angela Stanford. Currently level par. So right side of the cut mark. Cut has actually now gone back to level par.
Incredible posture in Kyung Kim in her setup.
Yeah, I think we can put some.
And if anything, if she does have a miss, it's usually that one just a little bit long and left. Doesn't give much away.
Well, Tiffany Joe with us in the commentary box, and there she is, top of the leaderboard with a 3-shot gap to Era Jitanagarn. With a win this week, Jitanagarn, along with Sung Hyun Park and So Yeon Yuk, could go to world number 1. Amy Yang celebrating her birthday tomorrow right there at 8 under par. And Jenny Shin So we'll miss out on that opportunity at 15. Still going along nicely, 1 under for the day and 6 under par overall. Bronte Law getting it back to a level par today, 3 under for the championship back in the UK for Bronte. He's been obviously out in America.
Yeah, she'll be looking forward to hopefully getting out there next week. She was a member at Hillside growing up, which is only about 30 or 40 minutes away, I believe, from Royal Lytham.
If that depends on the traffic, obviously.
UCLA Bruin. Just thought I'd drop that in there.
Yeah, there's a couple of UCLA Bruins in the field this week.
That's correct.
Ryan O'Toole out on the golf course. Mo Martin. Maria Uribe as well. She's bringing in the pins today at 3:40, I think, off the tee.
So what time will they finish? About 9 o'clock, that sort of time?
Right around there. There will not be any lasagna left by the time she gets home.
This one looks like it might just be leaking out to the right. You've got to be careful of those bunkers.
Wow, it's still going.
Whenever you're ready, golf ball. That's in a great spot. With an attack to the pin. You talked about your golf aspirations, but I know that your putting coach, your short game coach, Gareth Rafalewski, he's in town. And he's been trying to get you to engage a little bit more, even from some of your surfing icons. I think Steph Gilmore was one of those. Yep. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and how it helps you on the greens?
So we noticed that I was getting a little too wrapped up in my stroke, a little too wrapped up in my alignment, instead of just reacting to a target and being a little more athletic. I know you're about to laugh because me and athletic should not really be in the same sentence, but he was actually pointing out that they did some EKG studies on chess players, and a lot of chess players thought that they were outsmarting their opponent, but they were actually just pulling from, previous mental snapshots of chessboards and reacting to where different pieces were. And he kind of lost my interest there because I have no interest in chess. But yeah, he asked me who my favorite surfer was. And I said Steph Gilmore, and he sent me this picture of Steph Gilmore doing this crazy bottom turn, and she's just looking at the lip right before she hits it. And that got my attention real quick. So yeah, we've been working on a lot of using imagination and using visualization to kind of just react more to targets instead of getting too wrapped up in what's going on right in front of me.
Yeah, kind of look down the line a little bit more and a little less focused on your stroke.
I realized I'd never actually been tracing the ball's route to the hole when I was putting, which you really should be doing.
It's rather important. It worked for Amy Yang a few moments ago. That was for birdie.
Yeah, she's gone to 9 under now, which is in a share of 3rd place.
Take a mental snapshot of this golf swing. I don't want to jinx her, but it's pretty tidy. Usually pretty long. I think the longest average of drives is obviously 2 drives that they try and get one into the wind and one downwind for the average driving distance. And Charlie Hull averaged 305 yards between her 2 drives yesterday. Hit one.
Did she use hybrid on one?
Yeah, she probably held back. She was in the bunker about 40 yards short of the green on 10 yesterday, and that's, I think, 345 or so off the tee.
It was interesting today. On one of the driving distance holes, I actually hit a hybrid, and on the other one I hit a driver, and my hybrid went about 40 yards further than my driver just because the wind direction. So
Links golf.
Links golf. Am I right?
Well, that certainly does tap into the creativity of players, and I think there's times where you think you might even be too self-indulgent in terms of how much you can overthink links golf at times. It's kind of what you referenced in your putting.
Right.
Now Boutier. Looks like she's still got plenty in here.
It's one of the things I think it's a little bit different about links golf is that there is usually the opportunity to roll the ball up through that front section of the green. It's almost in direct contrast of the US style of golf where you so often have carries and you need to launch it high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always felt like the golf courses that play really difficult for us are the ones where there's almost forced carry, so you have to like fly it onto the green. But then, you know, if the pin's in the front and you have hybrid in, you're basically just playing for the back of the green and trying to two-putt for par. And I feel like that's how they set up a lot of our majors, and that's why they play so difficult. But I almost feel like it's a little bit easier off the tee here because you can roll it up. I feel like as long as you're avoiding a lot of those deep fairway bunkers, I mean, you can get away with tugging a shot into the fescue because you could just kind of roll something up and still get in there pretty tighty.
It gives you a couple more options with your approaches.
Yeah.
Out of bad lies.
I think Jenny just waiting for the green to clear at 16. So in the meantime, we'll pop off elsewhere.
Yeah, what do they say?
Mention Bronte lot.
Troubles are brewing.
I see what you did there.
Very good. As is the putt. Oh. Yeah, frustrating day for Bronte after she first out yesterday, wasn't she? Has progressed from the 3 under mark. She finished.
Need to send out a flare with this one. In Kyung Kim. Long way from the hole.
So the green clear now for Jenny Shin to strike.
I think yesterday this was playing downwind off the left, maybe a little bit longer today. We saw a couple of players have irons in their hands on the par 5.
Yeah, I think yesterday pretty much everyone in my group was able to go for the green, and today we were all a little bit short. And the pin's back there on the left, and there's a huge, I think it's like almost 10% slope behind it. So you can throw it up behind it and it will come back. I didn't do that. I hit it short and left myself like a 60-footer, but...
Well, I think you did that on 18 though, didn't you? You
Yeah.
used the backboard on 18, I heard.
Right.
By the backboard I'm referring to.
But yeah, I mean, you could throw this up like 5-10 yards past the hole and it'll come back, so it can be really aggressive.
And you talk about athletic players being kind of encouraged to pull the trigger a little bit quicker, and I think that's something that I've always thought about Nicole, that she could kind of tap into her athleticism a little bit more. I mean, that's from the outside. I'm not sure what's really going on between the ears. It might be very calm, but just an observation.
Just going for a kick, and she's got one. Saw a few dark clouds around. As I said, they were forecasting some rain later in the day.
You know, if there's a storm coming in, it also means there's a swell about to hit.
Yes.
Just saying.
So you're not worried about any delays in playing, you're just thinking surf.
The delays are just surf breaks.
Okay.
There's always an opportunity. You went surfing up in, is it Sheboygan recently?
I did, on Lake Michigan. It was
Surfing
very
on a
cold.
lake.
I did not have a wetsuit.
Any weather at all.
A few of those today from In Kyung Kim.
Yeah, because the breaks are so subtle, there are a couple that I just kind of threw the greens book out the window and looked at my caddy Zach and said, let's just trust our eyes on this one. And a lot of those were those, 3 to 4 foot sliders. So,
well, 3 5s in the last 4 holes for IK. She goes back to 5 under par. Tiffany, listen, great having you with us in the commentary box, and enjoy the lasagna if it comes your way later tonight, and best of luck over the weekend.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Tiffany Joe with us in the commentary box here at the Aberdeen Standard Investments Ladies Scottish Open, and there she is, top of the leaderboard, 13 under par, and with a 3-shot lead. There's Amy Yang now alongside Masson at 9 under par. We wondered whether the best side of the draw was late early. I suppose most of the best scores have come that side.
Well, there's more yellow rounds on that leaderboard than there are white in-play holes, if you will. Nasa Hataoka in with a little 67 today. And a really solid move from the Japanese superstar.
Strange to see someone still with their tea time on at this time of the day. Of course, Aji Kang would have just started. Last group out.
Probably walking to a drive on the first hole at the moment. It is a real feature of golf in this part of the planet.
Saw that birdie from Aditi Ashok. So there she is at 3 under.
Yeah, I believe she's got her family out this week. Brought them over. Mother Mash and her father Ashok.
Yeah, when Charlie Hull got it to 6 under early on, we thought, here we go. But not to be for her today. 73 in the end.
We saw the second shot of Jenny Shin, really only about a flip wedge in, but ball might be ever so slightly above her feet. Plenty of green to work with. That is maybe one of the most severe, as Tiffany mentioned a few moments ago, severe slopes on the whole golf course, the 16th green. You can see that slope just holding the golf ball up far more than usual. Out of the rough. Bronte Law should be making a debut this year as part of Team England for the UL International Crown held in Korea coming up in the first week of October.
And if she plays anything like she did for Team GB&I, they will have a very good team member.
Yep, the second player in history, in the entire history of the event, to win all 5 matches.
Curtis Cup, of course. Stacey Lewis being the other one. And of course, Stacey last week played her last event for a while before she has her first child.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of baby showers on the LPGA in the next few months. I think we've already had.
I was going to say the creche is going to maybe need a few more staff members.
That's it.
Well, this could make amends nicely for the aberration at 15. The 3-putt there. Another one comes up short.
bit of a head scratcher. 2 under par for her round today.
This is the one that said really paced me.
This is what we were talking about when you're in those fairway bunkers. Really, almost 9 times out of 10, it's going to be right up against the lip just because it's coming in with speed. A real shot given to the links there from the South African.
It was great having Tiffany in the commentary box, but I know she's excited about the weekend, but it's a big weekend, isn't it, for her?
It is, but she's just that kind of person that she'll just go about her business and you know, I mentioned before, you know, she's got a naturally self-deprecating sense of humour, and I think really, if anything, she could, you know, I think she could use a little bit more self-confidence, at least outwardly. You know, you never know what people are thinking on the inside, but she always kind of seems to be surprised almost when she plays that well, when she's a supremely talented golfer.
Better pace from Jenny Shim, but it's going to be just a par.
Mind you, I'm not sure how I'd feel if I saw those leaderboards and you've got Minjee Lee, So Yeon Yu, Sung Hyun Park, Amy Yang, Eri Jitanagarn, Caro Masson in the mix as well. There's a lot of wins between them.
Well, yeah, I mean, all those players are in the top 40 of the world right now. That's on, I think, about 36. 3 of them are in the top 5 of the world. But you've got to ignore that, haven't you? You just put that to the side and play your golf. But easier said than done. But we should see some fabulous golf this weekend as Boutier mops up. I mean, she's one of those players, Boutier, that, you know, maybe when we're coming back to Scotland next year, Glen Eagle, she could be an outsider maybe to make a run for the Solheim Cup team, particularly with the way her game's progressing.
Definitely. I think she really does need to kick it up a notch, because I would almost put Bronte Law and maybe even Leona Maguire, who's recently turned professional. And you saw a little bit of a run around there from Nicole, but it dropped. But those are 3 youngsters that are certainly on my radar, if not for a captain's pick, maybe even to make the automatic selection if they can.
Yeah, it's a good shout about Leona. Just turned pro, just had a few events on the Symetra Tour. And here's the aforementioned Bronte Law.
In yesterday's round, she made 4 out of 5 up and downs from the sand. She has a spectacular short game. She's known for it on tour. It's usually what leads to a pretty consistent golfing career as well.
Third shot after coming out sideways at the bunker.
Was that going to stay there? Probably won't come too far back off the green if it does keep rolling. High floater, Amy Yang. I mentioned earlier the Orlando crew, and Sung Hyun Park is a part of that. Jennifer Song as well, Yani Tseng. They go out and play a reasonable amount of golf together and are quite social. I was going to say, if you're trying to keep up with those lot, I'm not sure if I'd want that for a Friday 4-ball.
Yeah.
That'd be a bit daunting.
Don't play for money. Trying to get out of this little ragged spell, maybe just doing that. IK Kim.
can imagine in the middle of winter when the wind's blowing. This is so incredibly exposed up on the top of the hill on 17. There's a big drop off down to the left, another drop off down the hill on the right.
You never know, we might see that over the weekend. But conditions have been pretty good today, haven't they, in general?
168 yards to the pin. Most likely a 6-iron at most, maybe even 7-iron with the down breeze today, and that will just move to the right a little bit. No harm done.
Chance to get back into red figures for Sandra Gal.
Was back in her hometown of Copenhagen, just outside the city last week, Nicole. Recharging the batteries before the next 3 weeks on the road. That looked like an 8-iron in hand, and it was probably never quite enough club to carry that false front 7 paces on. Good 158 yards to carry that. Oh, we learnt a new nickname for Jenny Shin, didn't we?
Tibbs, yeah?
Jay Tibbs, it's on her yardage book there in her back pocket.
Not sure what that means though. Shin Tibbs. Shin tibula. I don't know.
I think that's a stretch.
It is a bit.
Oh, she's got a pretty handy bounce, but if it stays up on the green, well, might even fall into the chunk and run category, getting the kick off the back of that front bunker. It's been great to see a lot of spectators out.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a lot more at the weekend. It was well intended a couple of weeks ago when the men were in town. And especially the way the leaderboard's set up, you would think. Shame there's no real Scottish representative. Sort of Katrina Matthew, unfortunately, not able to make the caracal. She moved just down the road.
Well, Kelsey McDonald was a bit of a factor yesterday, but a round of 75 plus 4 today. And I think she'll go into Sunday evening as the only Scot to make the cut. Obviously, that depends what happens in the next few hours.
Seen a few players come up short, haven't we? It's been very slow from over there. It's a long way out. Now, Needs a little pick-me-up before the end of the round as Kim, and she gets one.
She plays a really limited schedule every year. She's only played 17 events the last 2 years in Kyung Kim.
Worked pretty well last year.
She's just that kind of player, to be honest with you. She actually just genuinely loves time at home, and she carves out time for it. She only played 12 events so far this year. So by my math, she's got another 5. I wonder which one she's going to choose.
Well, she's going to play next week, I've got a feeling.
But when you think about it, the likes of you know, Brooke Henderson, she usually plays at least 31 or 32 events. Sarah Jane Smith, Megan Kang, and other 2 players that really like to have a full schedule. Nearly double the events of In Kyung.
'29 tomorrow. Amy Yang could be booking herself a place in the last group at the Ladies Scottish Open. Gets down in 2 from here. She'll go to 3rd on her own at 10 under. That'd be a nice little present. Nicole looks absolutely disgusted with herself with that one. After coming up short the last 2 putts, I think that was an inevitability, really.
Yeah, just hasn't really got the pace on the greens the last 3.
No birdie for Gao, neither for Leanne Pace. In fact, of course, after coming out of the bunker, that was actually for a par, so that's going to be a drop shot for the South African. Just thinking about some of the players that have missed the cut, I suppose the highest profile really is Michelle Wee. I mean, that's the first cut she's missed all season as well, so not ideal for her ahead of next week at Lytham.
No, well, last year she finished inside the top 20, and it really springboarded her season with a top 3 finish the following week at the Ricoh Women's British Open at Kingsbarns, but a little bit of a different scenario here in 2018.
Stanford for birdie. Bronte Laws second on its way. It's at the last hole. Chance to get back to even par. That putt coming up for a 71. Yeah, she's even though she grew up on links golf, she said she had to work with a coach, try and learn how to hit those knockdown shots.
She's essentially been based in the USA for the last 6 years, so you almost have to remind yourself, don't you? What kind of shots? How do I pull putter out from 30 yards off the green?
To get to 10 under par, within 3 of the lead for Amy Yang.
Yep.
5 under yesterday. She's now 5 under today.
I feel like Amy's one of those players that whenever you see her in contention, you wonder why she doesn't win more. And you know, she's won 3 times on the LPGA, but all 3 of those, 2 of them came in Thailand and another in Korea. Good roll.
Yeah.
Well, it was always going to be unlikely for anyone to catch Tiffany Joe, given the way she's played over these first 2 days. 62-67. 129 shots over the first 2 days from the American, giving her a 3-shot lead over Ariya Jutanugarn. And now, thanks to that latest birdie at the 16th, over Amy Yang as well. Both those players at 10 under par.
Huge amount of left to right on this putt for Nicole Brock-Larsen.
She nearly beat the ball to the hole and then sweeps it in for a bogey.
Now signs of aggravation really shining through, I think, for Nicole.
Putting surface, outside chance for what would be 4 birdies in a row to finish for Aditi Ashok.
Oh, got a friendly bounce there off the cuff of the bunker. Maybe even a shot or two swing there, just from that little slice of Scottish luck, or they call it a ground fade in this part of the world. So birdie putt coming up, chance to get to 11 under par. Change of wind, almost 17, turning into a real birdie opportunity out of the par 3s, and that's nicely done from Angela Stanford.
Yeah, she's gone through a sticky patch form-wise, hasn't she, until the last month or two, but still believes she's got a lot to give, even though she's turned 40.
Well, that's why she hit the ball fine yesterday. She just had 33 putts to her name, and that'll unravel nearly any round. Walked away with a level par 71. Not bad given those stats. Needs a bounce. Oh! And that's going to go the other way.
Nearly in the bin.
I say out of the frying pan into the rubbish can.
Don't think they do say that.
No, I don't think anyone says that.
They can now.
It's going to be a tricky shot, really. Only about half a yard away from that kicking right back towards the green. something she did so well yesterday. She wasn't really striking the ball so well. She only hit 12 greens yesterday, Bronte, but just really made up and down from almost everywhere.
Well, she's recovered nicely, hasn't she, from those aberrations. How do you think she'll enjoy the spotlight of being defending champion in a major?
To be honest with you, if you look at the likes of, you know, Area, Sung Hyun Park, So Yeon Yu, I actually think In Kyung will handle it better than any of those three.
Oh, look at this one. Look at this. What a putt that is.
Yeah, it was trying to stop short.
Catherine Kirk. Enjoying every inch of that. Was that probably at least 35 paces, it seemed. Maybe around the 90 to 100 foot mark.
Well, the flag's on 23 paces, isn't it? So it's getting towards that mark. Now Bronte finishing up. Oh, no, she's not. Oh, dear. That's a horrible way to finish her out. Two bogeys at the last 3 holes. Safely inside the cut mark, but losing a little bit of headway as far as the top of the leaderboard's concerned.
Now, this shot that's coming up next for Leanne Pace, she is absolutely world class at hitting a high soft shot. Not to put the mozzie on her, but just watch those hands. They follow through. She uses almost the underside of the golf club. And that one just looked as though the turf gave way a little bit, but generally there's not too many players on tour you wouldn't want to hit a flop shot with.
Mika Miyazato, she's got all the colours going on there. What with the coloured ball, trousers and shirt.
Just matching the Scottish sunshine.
We shouldn't go from that outfit to ladies laughing, should we really?
It was a cruel cut there. Quite liked it, nice and bubbly, bright. Mika Miyazato, 1 under par for the tournament. And a chance for Amy Yang. This will be the 3rd birdie in the row if it dropped. Took a couple of hops.
Me.
Well, she made a nice birdie here yesterday, didn't she, Jenny Shin, to complete her round of 66. She's a long way back compared to where many of the players are hitting down to.
Yeah, I would imagine maybe just taking a hybrid off the tee, keep those bunkers out of play. Confirmation that she did in fact hit a hybrid. And that needs to hit a house. You know, it's interesting. And I think Tiff alluded to it a little bit earlier, when you have such a predominant slope from the hill, whenever you get to a flat green like, you know, the 18th or the second hole is another really flat green, it's almost harder to trust your instincts and not second guess yourself. Second guessing, not something that this young lady does often on the greens. Oh! Aditi Ashok.
That's going to be 4 birdies in a row. Suddenly she's right up there at 4 under par now, just outside the top 10.
And you know, I have to say it, her game sets up so incredibly well for next week as well as this week. Premium is straightness off the tee, doesn't take a long hitter. Oh, and nearly a great up and down from Leanne Pace. Aditi averaged just 225 yards off the tee yesterday, and you know, that may have been with driver, it might have in fact been with hybrid, as we've mentioned, a couple of players holding back with their tee shots, but it's all about placement. Links Golf. How many players have we seen so far this week hit sideways out from the fairway bunkers?
Plenty amongst them, yeah. Star-studded leaderboard. Tiffany Joe sitting above some of the highest ranked players in world golf. Of course, Inbee Park, the world #1, not here this week, but 10 of the world's top 15 are. You can see 3 of them on that first page.
Well, we've seen a minimum of 2 or 3 short miss putts from Ink Young. She's still under par for the round today at 1 under. Knew that one was going to miss right off the club face. It's interesting with Ink Young, you know, you see patterns with certain players, and her pattern really is if she's in it to win it, then she's fiercely competitive. But, you know, she'll either have a top 5 or she might end up outside the top 50. You know, she kind of loses interest sometimes, I think. Pretty much a textbook position from the tee. The 2015 Players Player of the Year on the Ladies European Tour.
Well, we saw Sandra Gull lining up a putt. Now, this is her approach shot in. Now, looks like she's missed it left. We all know where it finishes.
Crafty stuff.
Well, a decent break. Not sure she was aiming for that, but see if she can make the most of it. It's for birdie. Oh, she can indeed.
She's a big fan of Picasso, actually. Quite abstract. You could call that birdie pretty abstract as well.
I thought it was an impressive hat. She doesn't want us to see. We saw it. I'm sorry. We saw it. It's good. I bet she made that herself as well.
I liked it. Like the lead character out of Brave. Of course, the cartoon character with a Scottish princess, if you will. Got young kids. Richard, I know you've seen it a few times.
I've seen them all. Let's see if Ashok can keep this great run going. Yet to really make her mark yet on the LPGA Tour. Won again on the Ladies European Tour in Abu Dhabi last season. calling it for it to sit. That's going to be a huge birdie putt coming up. A little further forward. Amy Yang, hybrid as well. Made a bogey here yesterday, went in that rough down the left-hand side, but this one seems to be down the middle.
No bunker trouble today. I think yesterday she was even in the bunker, hit out to the rough. I think that was the third we saw. It was, oh, not exactly regulation.
That's nicely judged. Hat's going back on. Did you see that?
She's sun smart. Not often you need a hat in this part of the world, but it's been a fantastic summer up in the UK the last couple of months.
Yeah, I think Caroline Masson's been saying, as we see Jenny Shin finish, or Caroline Masson was saying it was like this all year round. It would be an overpopulated country, wouldn't it, Scotland?
Certainly from a golfing perspective.
70 from Jenny Shin to go with their 66er yesterday. So inside the top 10 at 6 under, albeit 7 shots behind the leader Tiffany Joe. Another one. I mean, obviously she slammed one past on the previous hole, but every other one we've seen the last 4 or 5 holes has come up woefully short.
It really is an indicator, because, you know, yesterday 5 players actually hit 17 greens, but only 3 of those players finished under par. So, you know, hitting the green isn't just all you need to do. You need to hit it into the right sections. They are quite large here at Gullen.
Okay, nicely closed out in the end for Brock Larson. Another one safely in for the weekend, albeit a little bit adrift.
If it was anyone else, I'd say she didn't have a chance. Leaving the flag in, needs to travel.
Yeah.
Lovely approach shot in. That's an excellent round of golf. Start the day 1 over par, but a round of 66 from the French player. 4 under par in total. Not been too much change, has there really been, on the first page of our leaderboard? Of course, Amy Yang coming down the last, sharing third place, showing second place, I should say, with Area Jatanagan. Caroline Masson with that lovely round of 65. IK Kim still with a few holes left to play and still in with a chance of getting a little closer to Tiffany Joe at the very top. Fortunate to come up just short of that bunker.
Well, despite taking the conservative play off the tee, it didn't pay off for Amy Yang.
Got to be careful she doesn't find another bunker.
Another shot goes to the links, as they're saying this week. So struggles trying to save par on 17. So the young player from India needs to break. Stops the birdie run for Aditi Ashok. Solid there from Angela Stanford. And that'll take the pressure off just a little bit. Once she found the fairway, she's at level par for the event. Cut looks like it's going to be 1 or 2 over par, so 2 putts from there, and that'll see her through safely to the weekend.
So third shot in now for Yang. Herself a great chance to save par. Having seen that putt a few times, but now it moves just from the right edge.
Need to get out there and give her a read, Richard. It's pretty good. She's got Sean Clues on the bag. He's been on the bag for Sandra Gow, Suo in the past, to name a few.
Well, it's a shame to see so many empty seats in the grandstands. But I'm sure they'll be filled up this time tomorrow. And the leaders are coming down in rounds 3, and then, of course, Sunday in round 4.
I think currently everyone's spread around the corners of the paddock, if you will, of Gullen Golf Club. It'll be a little bit more condensed come the weekend. A couple of nice little hospitality areas nearby. Some putting challenges, fundraisers as well in the tented village.
challengers stalled the last few holes, a couple of bogeys. But it's still been a decent day's work. 69 from the South African. Chance for it to be dual South African champions at the Scottish Open. Brandon Stone, though, was a big surprise, wasn't it, given his form over the 18 months?
I'm not quite sure that Leanne Pace would need a 59 to do it either. She's 8 back. 2 days left to play. She needed that read, Richard. Just gave it a little bit too much outside that right edge. Currently 36th on the money list for the LPGA, Angela. 4 top 10 finishes so far this season. Not to mention that 29 that she shot back in Singapore earlier this year. Everyone was on 59 watch again that week.
But level par safely inside the mark of the cup. 1 over still is the mark. Now, bogey at 18 yesterday after finding the bunker off the tee. Bunker off the tee again today. Amy Yang trying to avoid the same fate. This for successive rounds of 66. This for a place, if it is 3 balls tomorrow, in the final group. Well done. Brilliant save that. Really good up and down. And that concludes what's been a fabulous round. 6 birdies. 1 drop shot, a couple more 66s may do the job. It would match 20 under par, of course, that winning score of Brandon Stone. Haven't seen much of Mo Martin today.
Level par for the round. She's got a ball flight that matches well with links golf, simply because there are those entries to the green we saw just there on 17. She can afford to roll it up with her lower ball flight.
Sandra Gall using the contours again expertly. Look at this. I think we'll give her that one.
I think that ball's done more moving on the greens in the last 2 holes. That birdie on 15, using the side and the backboard. She spent some time at home the last few weeks, just outside, well, not literally at home, but at a nice little spot just outside of Munich on a lake, looking at the mountains. She was pretty happy about it. Could do worse.
Different way of playing it, but a very similar result. Up to the 17th tee.
Oh, hang on. Oh, here we go. Angel Yin. She did her homework in the practice rounds. Nice stuff from last year's winner on the Ladies European Tour.
Well, a birdie finish from her. She could well make the cut, currently at 3 over par, but none of these players have to worry about the cut mark, do they? This is the top 10 on the leaderboard. Some great rounds in there. Couple of 66s, Pei Yun Chen, Amy Yang. Couple of 65s as well from Caroline Masson and Era Jitanagan. But of course, it's been Tiffany Joe who's been up there all week since she went on that birdie charge on the back nine yesterday. 13 under par, leading by 3. Well, we gave you the birdie. 1 under par now for Sandra Gall.
I think that one was just inside the circle of friendship. Now this is groundbreaking stuff for Aditi. She's missed the fairway. And we saw Mo Martin in the group behind, and she is #1 in fairways hit, but Aditi Ashok is also known for her accuracy off the tee, if not for her distance.
Well, if you look, she's hit it straight, but
straight into the wrong stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
She's #2 on the LPGA in putting average, #6 in greens, putts on the greens per regulation. Not really in danger of the cut mark. She's 3 under par, but still finish like this, the 3 putt on the last after those 4 consecutive birdies, is a bit of a momentum stopper going into the weekend. Started with 3 consecutive bogeys, however, so it's been a bit of an up and down day.
Playing with Jodie Hewitt Shadoff. Also safely in the cut mark right now, couple under.
Up and out of that one straight away. That was always going right with the club face open.
She's not one that does too many miscuts, is she, Jodie?
No, certainly goes into the consistent category on tour. She's only missed 2 so far this season. Tied for 7th in her last start at the Thornbury Creek LPGA Classic.
Another one who was up there last year, wasn't she, at the Women's British Open. Still looking for her first win. Now, the defending champion needs a birdie to stay around the weekend. She's made a bit of a fight back, 74 yesterday. Under par for a round. Now, can she get it in tight? Oh, unlucky, really. Didn't release.
How did that one stop? Must have found a soft patch.
Remember, she was 9 back heading into the weekend last year, and then shot some brilliant rounds over the weekend.
I'll just mark it. Okay.
Oh my goodness me. Well, what's going on here, Alison? Because the greens are running smooth. These are really putts you shouldn't have to think twice about. We've seen at least 3 of those now from In Kyung Kim.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, In Kyung just deselling a little bit through impact. Now she's used every slope in the book. Angel Yin here on 17. This would be an interesting group to watch. You've got Angel Yin, who flights the ball probably longer than anyone on tour in terms of her actual ball flight and time spent in the air, next to Mo Martin, who is a shorter hitter and hits it lower. So you want to go and see 2 types of golf. It would have been a fun group to watch, but not what Angel wanted this week. It looks as though she might have the weekend off. Currently at 3 over par. Really needed that one to drop.
Nicely played from Aditi Ashok, so young lady from Bangalore with a chance to avoid another bogey there.
A young player that has fond memories. She actually shot 9 under par in the qualifier for the Women's British Open when it was being held at Woburn to earn her place into that field.
Just looking at the leaderboard, the fact that, you know, top 7 players all ranked inside the top 50 of the world. I mean, you never know, but it'd be a surprise to see someone do what Mi Hyang Lee did last year and come from such a long way back, given the caliber of players that are up there. I say top set, Tiffany Jo apart, obviously. One's behind it.
Well, Mi Hyang Lee, last year she came back from a 9-shot deficit,
That's
I
right,
believe,
yeah.
through the weekend. That's incredible stuff, and ended up having one of the biggest winning margins of the season in 4 shots at that point in time as well.
Pretty good from that. Yeah, runner-up at the Women's British Open last year, Jodie. 2 Brits inside the top 3 of a major for the first time since 1998. Of course, both she and Georgia Hall finishing behind In Kyung Kim. She is Mi Hyang Lee. 6 missed cuts in a row heading into this week, so in very different form to the form she was 12 months ago heading into Dundonald Links. So maybe not a surprise to see her at 2 over, and after you've missed 6 cuts in a row, oh, it could be such a momentum change to your season if she can pop this in and be around for some golf Saturday and Sunday. A little bit of time off heading into this week, so there is a chance to start afresh, hit the reset button. So this to finish at 1 over par. Not to be. It's going to be another weekend off for last year's champion.
Been an adventurous hole for Aditi. Spent quite a bit of time over here playing in her amateur days over at St Andrews. Spent a lot of time playing in the British Amateur Championships.
Yeah, I think she said the first time she ever played links golf was on this course. I think back in 2009. She must have been about 11 years old then. 3 under par. She finishes, so 10 shots back.
Those greens are drying out. Could hear the noise. And at least we haven't got any of the rain forecast for the day.
Yeah, not yet, at least, anyway.
Golf will be played here until about 9 p.m. this evening, so can't count anything out.
Yeah, Jodie Hewitt-Shadoff finishing her 36 holes off. She finishes with a round of 70 for the second day in a row, so 2 under par. Well, we had her in the commentary box. Been a fantastic couple of days for Tiffany Joe. I think it's safe to say she'll be our leader heading into the weekend at the Aberdeen Standard Investments Ladies Scottish Open. Haven't they?
They settled in for the day. They're not leaving until Sunday evening.
I bet they got a decent picnic as well.
They do look like the kind of people you hit up for snacks when you're walking around.
She's had some short putts the last few holes, Sandra Gall. Been putting a lot of work in with her coach Cameron McCormick.
Changed her whole putting grip. That's interesting. She's had a fantastic career, Sandra. She won on tour back in 2011 at the Kia Classic, but her grandfather actually told her she was wasting her time with professional golf because she's such an academic. She found a way to work it into the sport.
Now hold on to your hats here. Angel Yin's got driver out here at 18.
Seatbelts on.
Well, she needs an eagle. 389 down the hill.
Almost looks like one of Sandra's paintings.
It's been tough for Emily, hasn't it? Ever since making the Solheim Cup team, really.
To be honest with you, it really rocked her confidence. I think she's one of those players that, with that many eyes on her, she really needed to pick up a couple of wins early on in the Solheim Cup, and since then it has kind of shaken her a little bit. Such an intense player, and she doesn't forgive herself that much on the golf course. She's quite hard on herself. It's something that no doubt she'll be working on with the new mental coach, Jacob. You talk about the part of the game that's in between your ears, and you look back at this time last year. In Kyung Kim was up watching the sunrise before the final round of the British Open last year. She was out, she thought that was more important, and bear in mind she was off in the afternoon and the sunrise is about 5 a.m. so she's all about just being really centred. It's why she takes so many weeks off.
Well, I'm going to say should be a par, but
Good,
okay.
She's just been giving herself so many chances. She's been missing, you know, 3 or 4 short putts, but again, she's still under par. That
Yeah.
hard to not look back on the day that could have been, very easily could have been at least 5 under if the momentum got going. Much joy today for Emily. Her parents are out, and I know she's been trying to soak up the Scottish sunsets, but it's not doing too much for her golf game. Has quite a commanding presence in person, Sandra. She's over 6 foot tall.
Inkyun Kim has tapped in, stays at 6 under par, so she's in that group tied for 8th. A couple of the late starters have got to 5 under, Suo and Haiji Kang, but they're going to have to do some, aren't they, even though they're only through 4 and 6 holes respectively to catch Tiffany Joe at the very top, 13 under par. Time for second is Arya Jatanagan and Amy Yang. Let's have a look back at Amy's round. 66 today. '66 yesterday it was as well. Turning 33.
And that on the reachable par 5.
Unfortunately no eagle, but it was a birdie nonetheless for Amy.
Just moseyed it on up there. No harm, no foul. Tap in 4. And then 3 consecutive pars. And that on the 15th. Read to perfection.
She never looked like she was in any kind of trouble all day long, Amy Yang.
No, she never did anything that was hugely detrimental to her score, and I think taking her medicine where appropriate was very key. That on 16.
Again, giving herself a chance for 2 putts and a birdie.
It's a nice way to do it. Just the kind of cruisy golf you'd expect from someone with that tempo. Rolled the rock up to there.
Yeah, set her up for a 6th birdie and final birdie of the round. In trouble off the tee, found a fairway bunker despite going with the hybrid off the tee. Laid up to there. This was her 3rd shot into 18. And it was good enough to give herself a chance to escape with a par. Remember, this is a hole where she dropped a shot in day 1.
And that ball rolling end over end for a 66. 2nd consecutive 5 under par for Amy Yang.
Yeah, so 10 under par for the Korean. And low round of the day is 65. There's been a few of them out there. One of them came from Caroline Masson. 68 yesterday from the German, birdied the second and third. This was a tee shot at 8, 134 yards playing today.
He landed it in almost the perfect position. You can see rolling the slope, green runs from front to back, and used it, judged it perfectly, leaving around about 6 feet for par. And he was clapping a little bit too early. And that was for birdie.
Yeah, she birdied 11 as well. And another one there at 14. And then off to the par 3 17, setting herself up for a third 2 of the round.
Making easy work of it. Not too many par saves required today.
No, only Pornanong Patlam can match that effort. 65 from Caroline Massot. Well, I'll tell you what, we're in for an exciting weekend, aren't we? Look at that. The world's 2, 3, 4 players all inside the top 5. Talking about Sunghyun Park, Eri Jatanagan, and So Yun Yu as well. Caroline Masson and Amy Yang right there. Tiffany Joe. What a weekend. What a prospect, at least, of a weekend ahead for the American at 13 under par. So many quality players are in with a chance heading into the final 36 holes. Still 18 to complete for IK Kim, and there's a couple of the late starters there at 5 under, Suo and Haiji Kang. It's going to be interesting to see how Tiffany deals with that final group going into the weekend, especially with the kind of players that just tucked in behind.
Well, I have to say, if she gets in a group with Eri Jatanagan or Amy Yang tomorrow, that's going to help, just because of the kind of people and her friendship with them. Might make her a little bit more comfortable, but I mean, plenty to play for. Dollars on the line, the win on the line, and a spot in next week's British Open, which he doesn't have locked up yet. So it's going to be a fantastic Saturday and Sunday here in gorgeous Scotland.
Yeah, cut mark we think is going to come at 1 over par, so all these players are safely inside as far as being around the weekend is concerned. But it's the 31-year-old American looking for her breakthrough LPGA Tour title, Tiffany Joe. She's been around on tour since 2011, but what a chance she's given after that platform of rounds of 62 and 67. We look forward to your company over the weekend in Scotland.